What is going on, everybody? Your host, Dusty268 here, bringing you another deck profile on Yugioh Legacy of the Duelist. Now, today I have a bit more of a serious deck for competitive players out there who might want to take this game a bit more seriously. Now, if you don't like troll decks and you don't like having fun in the game, then you can always play a meta deck. Now, that's not saying meta decks aren't fun, but let's face it, there's a lot more variety. There's a lot less variety, is what I mean to say. Sorry. Anyways, this is my Dracopal variant. I've had a lot of success with this variant, and I think it's a very, very good deck. Now, keep in mind, one thing this deck struggles is if you don't open the Pendulum Sorcerer. If you don't open this card, it can be very difficult for you. But that's not always the case. You can open very, very bad and still pull off a win in this deck very easily. This is one of the most versatile decks, honestly, ever in history of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm talking ever. The amount of variety in its plays is just astonishing, and it's just such a fun deck to play, especially if you like thinking. If you don't like a deck like PK Fire or Cosmo, who are trying to do primarily one thing, then this is the deck for you. So anyways, enough of me talking, let's get into this. First of all, we have two properties of Performapal Guitardo. This is your main card to combo with things like Wizard Draw and Monkey Board. You'll see this card in your Pendulum Scale a lot, but you only really need two of it because you can search it pretty easy. Next up, you have two Archfiend Eccentrics. What this card does is it's basically either an Exiled Force or an MST. Very versatile, plus it's a scale 7, very high. Two Performapal Wizard Draw. Now, if you don't know the Potted Reed combo, it's essentially, if you have this in your other scale, you can play this card. This card's effect will activate, letting you draw one card from your deck when a Performapal is placed in your zone. Then you can destroy this card, send it to your extra deck, and draw an additional card by its own effect, which you can do if you have another Performapal in your other Pendulum Zone, which you would to Tardo. Basically, if you have both these cards, you can basically do a Potted Reed by playing this card as a scale 6, this is another scale 6, drawing one, and then drawing an additional one by destroying this card. Very useful. Then you play one copy of Masked Chameleon. Now this card, a lot of people question me on this card. I think this card is very, very good, and it makes it a lot easier to get in Nister, even though you only have the one luster. This card can be searched by King of the Pharaoh Imps and can resurrect a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard, so 1-0 defense. I know it technically doesn't resurrect just a level 4 monster, but that's all you play anyway, so it might as well. One copy of the Rescue Buddy. Now, if you don't know what this card does, then clearly you were never here for Dino Rabbit era. This card is a level 4 monster that lets you banish it face up to special summon two level 4 or lower normal monsters with the same name from your deck, but during the end phase they're destroyed. Basically, this card's a level 4 tour guide and was the original tour guide of the Underworld. A very good card, and considering you're running 3 Vector and 3 Master, you have plenty of targets. 2 Summoner Monk. A lot of my friends give me a lot of dirty looks for this card. Summoner Monk, a lot of people don't understand why I'm playing it, but this card is so good, guys. It's so outstandingly good. This was an era where Dark Dracopal was kind of running around, but I think this is the card that really shines. Now keep in mind, Summoner Monk needs to ditch a spell card. You only play so many, and you only play 9 here. There are only 9 spells in your deck, so it's not always going to be live. But it is a level 4, and it's a dark attribute, so it's an Aware of Darkness target. All in all, it's a very good card that lets you go into some insane combos. So what you can do is you can summon this card, set a dead scale, like maybe a Vector and, I don't know, a Wizard Draw. You can go ahead, pitch literally any of your spells. I would ditch any spell in the deck, even things like Draco Face Off, for this card to summon the Sorcerer. It's that important. Anyways, guys, 3 Master Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. Absolutely essential, you gotta play 3. 3 Vector Pendulum, the Draco Overlord. Now, some people wonder why I don't play Lecter. I don't really like Lecter. I don't think it's all that useful. I feel like Vector is very good because there are a lot of Pendulum variants, and this card just completely shuts down Pendulum decks in terms of their scales, because it makes all their scales do nothing. In fact, I was playing an Odd Eyes Magician player earlier today, in fact, where their first move was they used Timebreaker Magician and Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, completely ignoring Vector, and just ended their turn trying to use the Odd Eyes, and this card stopped it. Very good card. 2 Guiding Ariadne. Now, what do I think about this card? This card can be dead. I'll admit, this card can be dead in situations. But it's very useful if you combo it with things like Luster or Nister, because you can pop this card, then add any of these 4 cards. Until you play 4 targets, you can resolve the target this card more than one time, provided you haven't drawn any. Therefore, it's a very useful card in the deck, and I completely agree with having it in here. One Luster Pendulum. What do I need to say about this card? Why would you not play this card? This card is the Luster Pendulum. It is insane. It's a good card. 3 Pendulum Sorcerer. Oh my god. This card is insanely good. Basically, Pendulum Sorcerer. If you don't know what it does, then you must be pretty damn new to the game. Pendulum Sorcerer, if it's special summoned, it lets you target 2 cards you control and destroy them, and add perform power monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. This is very, very good because it lets you set up A, better scales, B, it lets you get a ton of advantage, and C, it's just a great card. Why would you not play it? Keep in mind it also has a monster effect. It also has a pendulum effect, sorry. The Pendulum effect is that if a perform power monsters is pendulum summoned, all perform powers gain 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. This was more useful back when regular Pepe was around. Today, you don't really use its pendulum effect all that much, but don't get me wrong, it can still come in handy. Next, we have 2 Perform Power Silverclaw. Now, I know what everyone's thinking. Why aren't you playing the Odd Eyes card? The answer, I don't like the Odd Eyes card. For 2 reasons. One, it's a shitty level that you're never really going to use. And here, I'll actually show you the Odd Eyes card that I'm talking about. Because some of you may not know what I'm actually talking about. So I'm going to search up Perform Power for you right here, live in the video. Where is it? This card, Perform Power Odd Eyes Unicorn. This is what everyone's replacing it with. I disagree. It's a level 1, meaning it's completely useless as a monster. B, it's a light, so it's not an allure target. And C, yes, while it may have a really decent pendulum effect, its pendulum effect reads that once while this card is in your pendulum zone, when an Odd Eyes monster tries to attack, you can target another perform power monster that you control. It gains attack equal to the original attack of the target monster. This only works in Odd Eyes decks. I know the reason everyone's swapping it out is because it's a scale 8. But, guys, you don't need a scale 8. You don't. Look at your monsters. Except for this ugly fucker, they're all 4s and 3s, except for this guy, but why would you summon that anyway? Point is, you don't need a scale 8. So the reason that it's a scale 8, so we should play it over the Silverclaw, I think is completely worthless. Now, granted, if I was playing an Odd Eyes engine, maybe my argument would be different. But as it stands in Dracopal, this card has no business being in a Dracopal deck. I'm sorry, I'm sticking with the original Silverclaw. I think it's better in that case. A, because it's a dark. B, it's a level 4. C, it has more attack points in that card. And B, we aren't playing Odd Eyes cards for it to be useful anyway. So 2 Silverclaw. 1 Skullcrabat Joker. Again, do I need to talk about this card? It's Stratos for Pepe. It's Stratos for Pepe. Monkey Board. It's 10T for Pepe. Do I need to talk about this card? Absolutely not. Though it's ugly as hell, but... Spells. 2 Allure Darkness. Now this card is good. Draw 2 cards, banish dark. Now keep in mind this card isn't always viable. You only have so many targets, but when you can use it, you can use it. It's good to combo this card with Painful Decision, which we'll get to in a minute. Draco Face Off. Do I need to talk about it? Okay, in case you guys don't know, Draco Face Off lets you reveal a Draco Slayer Pendulum monster and a Draco Overlord Pendulum monster from your deck. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Your opponent randomly picks one of them for you to Pendulum Summon or Special Summon. I'm sorry, one of them for you to place in your Pendulum Zone or Special Summon, your choice. And you add the other card to your extra deck face up. Basically, it's a 2-card Cosmo Tin Can for free. That lets you either Special Summon it or place it in your Pendulum Zone. And the other card goes to your extra deck. So basically, it's like a +1. It might as well be a +1. Putting a Pendulum monster in your extra deck, can't we just consider that a plus at this point? Let's be real here. It's not gone. You're going to summon it anyway. It might as well be a +1. So I'm going to call it a +1. 2 Instant Fusion. Now, I can understand how at a glance you can see this card wouldn't be useful because like, oh, your Pendulums are just going to go to the extra deck. But you make a lot of rank 4s, so this card does help you extend your plays quite a bit. Though I wouldn't play 3. I feel like 3 is a bit excessive. I feel like 2 is just right. 3 Painful Decision. Oh my god. What can I even say about this useful card? If you guys don't know, Painful Decision lets you send a level 4 or below, not normal monster from your deck to your graveyard, and then add one with the same name from your deck to your hand. This card is amazing. It's again a card that I argue is practically a +1. Now, I can see why some people would say, that's not a +1, you're sending it to the graveyard. Well, if you're gonna argue that, then I have to argue that Foolish Burial is a -1, which it isn't. This card does not make your other card unuseful. Let's pretend we use Painful Decision to send Master Pendulum to the graveyard. You then gain a Master Pendulum and then can go into your Fusion card, which lets you summon it back from the grave anyway and continue your plays. Or you can use Instant Fusion to summon Norden to resurrect the monster anyway. Or you can use things even like Digesto Emerald, which is a rare circumstance, but it could happen. Or you can use like stuff like Mass Chameleon. Either way, do you see what I'm getting at? That Painful Decision might as well be considered a +1 too. It's the Foolish Burial argument, people. You're going to use the card anyway, you're going to play out of your graveyard, you might as well. Then Upstart Goblin, because we're running that sick 39 card deck. Traps. We're running one Bottomless Trap Hole as a Rafflesia target. Now, I did go back and forth deciding, do I want to play Bottomless or a Time Space? They're both really good. Now, Time Space Trap Hole, if you don't know what it does, I'll look it up for you right now. And I can totally understand if you want to play Time Space over this card. When your opponent special summons a monster from your hand or extra deck, shuffle that monster into the deck. Then use 1,000 life points for each return monster. I was testing this card for a while, but in the end I decided to go for the regular Bottomless Trap Hole because of decks like Cosmo. Yes, Time Space Trap Hole can in some regard work against Cosmo, but really not much. It works a bit against PK Fire, where Bottomless does not, but honestly PK Fire is not a problem for this deck. PK Fire does absolutely nothing to this deck whatsoever. It's a win. We have complete advantage. Cosmo does give this deck a bit of trouble because of the fact that they can put such huge beaters on the board that we can't deal with. Meanwhile, this deck can deal with PK Fire's Tantes pretty damn well, especially if it's a match where you have the side deck. Moving on, we have 3 Solemn Strikes. This is our main weapon against Cosmo decks, just because it can negate a monster effect. And 1 warning. We're playing the full Solemn Brigade, not 2-1, we're playing 3-1. So, I know some people consider the Solemn Brigade to be warning plus 2 strike. Well, we're going to call this the Elite Solemn Brigade with 3 strike, 1 warning. Why is this card not at 1? Anyways, guys, on to the extra deck. We play the 1 Elder Entity Norden, as I've mentioned before. Absolutely a must-play with your Instant Fusion. Best level 4. That's probably why I don't play another one, because A, I don't have the extra deck room to play anything else, and B, you don't really need another one, to be honest. You don't need another target. Plus Norden's at 1, so whatever. 2 Dinosaur Power, the Mighty Draco Slayer. Okay. What does this card do? A lot of people who've never played Pepe may not know what this card does. This card must be first special summon from the extra deck, but whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Pendulum monster cards in your monster zones and pendulum zones can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. This is very, very good. Basically, it turns every pendulum monster into a marshmallow, making it invulnerable to stuff like Twin Twisters, Dark Destroyer, etc. Very, very good. And to combo it off, it has once per turn you can special summon a Draco Slayer pendulum monster from your hand or grave. Now, you can make this card with any Draco Slayers, so you can use it with any of your 3 master, which you can search off Painful Decision, so it's kind of like you're running 6 of this card anyway. 10 to 7 if you count the Draco face-off, and the Luster and any fusion. So you could summon something like Guitardo and still make use of it. Not that I think you would, but you could. We played 2 of this card because it's so essential. Oh, and now we weep. Honestly, out of all of the cards that were hit on the April 2016 ban list, I feel this one was the most crippling. Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer. The rest of the cards, or whatever, you know, one Stalkerbat, 1 Monkey Board, 1 Draco Face-Off, that's all fine, but this is the card that really, really crippled the deck. This card is a 1-card Tiramisu. Sue, it lets you summon stuff from the deck. Do I think it's better than Tiramisu? Some would say yeah, I don't think so. I feel Tiramisu is always going to be superior to this card, in my opinion, but I feel this card is still insanely good. Just being able to have non-targeting shuffling effect, being able to summon stuff from your deck, it's insanely good. And honestly, guys, if I could, I would play this at 3. There is no question in my mind that I would not play 2 or 3 of this card. It is that good. Your most useful card in your extra deck is this guy. But we will mourn our fallen brethren later. On to the HCs. We play 1 Phantom Knights of Breaksword. Now, why am I playing this? Well, I have a few reasons. B, I found myself wondering, what the hell am I doing with these guys? There were times when I could summon these things and I had nothing to do with them. So I'm like, okay, let's have 1 ranked 3. I tried out a Levier for a while and I ended up not ever using it. I'm like, man, this really sucks. But then I remembered this card. I love this card. Phantom Knights of Breaksword lets you detach an overlay unit to target any card you control, and 1 card your opponent controls, destroy them. This card's a ranked 3 version of Strap Dragon and a better card than Diamond Direwolf, because you don't have to pop itself or a beast. This card is really good and possibly the best ranked 3 in this game. Yeah, I know it's challenging stuff like Dante, but I feel this card really, really has potential, guys. Insanely good. On to the ranked 4s. We have Abyss Dweller. Why would you not play this card? This is a format where there's a lot of Burning Abyss. Sorry about the noise in the background. There's a lot of Burning Abyss and Phantom Knight decks running around, so you want to be able to stop the graveyard. Keep in mind this also does kind of hurt Cosmo a little bit. Not a lot, but it does hurt them. This is a card you want to go into when you're ready to beat over their ships and win for game, which you can do. 1 copy of Castell the Sky Blaster Musketeer, and 1 Direwolf. I wish this wasn't in the middle. These are the cleanup squad, where you make both of these and you spin a card, then you pop the Castell to pop a card, and then if this thing lives a turn, you can still pop a card. You can place the Diamond Direwolf with the Phantom Knight of Breaksword if you want, but honestly, just cleanup cards with Direwolf, Breaksword, Castell, always good. 1 Digesto Emerald. Now, this card has 2 really useful effects, and if you don't know what they do, then have you been living under a rock? This is possibly one of the most useful generic ranked 4s in the game. Just because it lets you shuffle 3 monsters in your graveyard into the deck to draw a card, and then resurrect a monster from your graveyard that's a non-effect. And you are playing non-effect monsters. So, Digesto Emerald is a very, very good card. Definitely a must-run. King of the Feral Imps. This card is a pretty decent turn 1 play if you have nothing else. Only because you can grab a Masked Chameleon. This is especially good if you can pitch one of these 4/6 guys into the graveyard, because that lets you set up an Inister play on your next turn. Very useful. 1 Magister Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer. Again, one of those cards you want to go into if you opened bad, just so you can search the Joker or a Pendulum Sorcerer. Preferably the Joker. Probably the Joker. Definitely the Joker. This card is pretty good, I won't lie. You never really use Detach ability. Every time I make this card, it usually lives 1 turn, then dies. It lives for my turn, I search, and then it probably dies. And if it does live, I never use its summon effect anyway. It's only good for unbricking your hand. 1 number 106 Giant Hand. This card's basically a freaking breakthrough still. What you do is, during either player's turn, you detach 2 to negate a monster effect that activates on your opponent's field. Also, it can't change its battle position, but let's be real, how often is that effect useful? Actually, it's pretty useful, I hear you say. I ask, why is that? Dante! Because Dante can't go to defense mode. And I say to you, you're correct. Dante, this card's Dante's worst enemy. Just because it makes it not able to go to defense. Ironically enough, I actually had a better situation where someone was OTKing me. What they did was they summoned the Diamond Crab King in attack mode, when they had the Trapeze Magician. They used Trapeze first, targeting their Crab King. I'm thinking, okay. They go Crab King effect? I'm like, nope, Giant Hand, negate the Crab King. They didn't read my Giant Hand. They had a worthless 0 attack monster that was going to die during the end of the turn. It was beautiful. Trap Tricks Rafflesia. This card, it's an okay turn 1 play, but only when you do it with something else. I don't recommend going into this card alone. I recommend comboing it with something like Magister Paladin, King of the Feral Imps, or Abyss Dweller. As a standalone card, it doesn't do you very much besides buy you a little bit of time. It's a bottomless trap hole on legs that has a big butt. Number 23, Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. This is basically just going for game. It's Cowboy 2.0.
It can attack your opponent directly while it has overlay units, and it has a mandatory, very important, mandatory negate effect for any spell, trap, or monster effect. So don't go into this card unless you're sure you're about to go for game. Number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Whoo boy, is this card sexy? She is a sexy dragon. This card has 3 effects. 2 of them you never use, but the first and foremost one is really good. Once returned during either player's turn when a spell or card or effect is activated on the field. So this is important because it can negate face-up spells. You negate that effect and attach that card to this card as an exceeds material. That is insane because it can really hurt decks like Monarchs. If they open bad, and let's face it, Monarchs, you know they can open bad, then oftentimes they have only a Pantheism or something like a Stormforth to make them unbrick. And if you can negate that one card, then you're set. This card also is very defensive when you make a great board because they can stop Raigeki, which is a very prominent card right now. Its other 2 effects you aren't going to use, but they do come up occasionally, and I mean occasionally. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach an exceeds material from this card, change the attack target to this card. Basically, while this card's on the field, it's the only thing that can attack. It's whatever. If a face-up exceeds monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target another one and it gains attack equal to one of those destroyed monsters' special attacks. The only time, and I repeat, the only time this came up for me was when I was using Diamond Direwolf to tribute a Castell. Because it technically destroys Castell, so this thing got 2,000 points stronger. Honestly, those last 2 effects, they don't really come up, and you'll find yourself never using them, but this card's a threat just for its spell and negating ability. Basically, it's a stronger version of Naturia Beast, albeit not quite as useful. Moving on to the side deck, we have 2 Match C and 2 Flying C. Can you guess which decks these are for? If you guessed PT Fire, you're correct. Although, honestly, these cards work great against Dracopal too. Because honestly, Dracopal by itself can't do a lot. They need to go into their extra deck to be able to access their really good plays. So I decided these for either one. 2 Artifact Lancia. I was debating about Iron Wall, but I didn't want a bunch of 20 traps quality in my deck. So I decided to go for Lancia, which is a quick effect that stops banishing for 1 whole turn. Very useful. 2 Dark Hole and 1 Raigeki. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. The reason these are in here were originally for Cosmo, but as time went on, they're more for Demise deck. Meaning, stuff like Barrier Statues, you want to have these. Only because you'll have some outs to their cards. 2 Chaos Trap Holes. This card is used primarily, to be honest with you, it's used against Cosmo. I know what you're saying, but you can't do that with this shit because they're going to summon it off other cards. And to you, sir, I say, you're correct. You cannot. But you can stop inherent summons of things like Tin Cat, Farm Girl, Wicked Witch, etc. If they normal summon it, it's an inherent summon. So that's what you want to stop anyway. You don't really want to have them to proceed further than that. But honestly, you can decide this also against Monarchs, which inherent summon. Burning Abyss, which can inherent summon. It's not a bad card all in all, and it's a pretty decent one. 2 Master Restrict. This is my primary card against Monarchs. The reason being, Monarchs are a pain in the ass. They're just annoying. They're annoying. And I played Monarch IRL in this variant, and I know how annoying that deck is. So, yeah, I buckled and I decided 2 Master Restrict. Shoot me. 2 Royal Decree. Again, for troll decks. There's a lot of Demise variants running around, guys. A lot of Demise in this game. Because of that, Sighting Decree can often win you a game or 2. Because honestly, most Demise decks aren't playing spell and trap removal, except for Dark Bribe. Dark Bribes are only really out, if they're played. Most of the time they're stupid and they're playing crap like Magic Drain anyway. And in that case, win-win for you. Anyways, guys, that has been my Dracopal deck profile. Sorry if it was a bit long, but I feel like I wanted to explain myself on quite a few cards for those people who A, haven't played the deck before, or B, question my variety. Because, honestly, Dracopal was the deck of the time back in April. and it was a really, really good deck, and I think it still is. Now, this is the April 2016 ban list, and at first, it really made me scratch my head why they went with that one. Because Shining Victories technically dropped in May, but then I realized what the January ban list was. Yeah, guys, the January ban list, that was Pepe.format. Yeah. And the August one, we don't have all the cards up to then, so they gave us the April list, which is fine. But honestly, guys, the only thing I'm really, really upset about is Akin, the Administer Prominence. The rest of the cards are whatever, you know, one Monkey Board, one Joker, one Draco Face-Off. I honestly don't care. Those cards, they're absolutely fine at 1. You can still use them fine. It doesn't really hurt you. But Administer Prominence, this card, it's a skill card now. This card is definitely your most skillful playing card. If you go into this the wrong time and you waste it and you don't have something like Emerald to get it back, it can really suck. It really sucks if they bottomless this just and you do have no way of getting it back. This is your best card in your deck. I can't emphasize that enough. It is really quite the game winner, and it's your most powerful weapon against Cosmo because it can spin back all of their most potent stuff. Anyways, I've rambled on for long enough. This has been another Legacy of the Duelist deck profile. You guys all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!